48% of the U.S. energy is used in buildings. We've been focusing a lot in our culture on cars, but cars are much easier fixed because they only last about 15 years and our buildings last about 70 years. So we have about 130 million residences, and we're building roughly about 1.5 per year. So even if all these new residents were very energy efficient, it's not going to make any difference for 75 years. So the nation has to embark on a deep retrofit program of the existing housing stock. I want to say a little bit about green building, which is too little and too late, particularly the LEED program and the Energy Star program are the ones that are hyped in the media. But green buildings, currently today, they're only about 10 to 20% of new construction, and their objectives are to save 20 to 30%. There's a report that came out on LEED's building, the first one that was ever written on LEED's buildings, and their average energy savings is about 25%. So you have this program which is supposed to save us, which has about less than 1,000 buildings out of the 5 million commercial buildings that are built, and yet is hyped very much in the media as the solution. And the same for Energy Star. So the idea of new green building it's really a distraction. You have to start talking about what am I going to do in my house to reduce my energy consumption. Now, I was a builder in the first energy crisis, and that came on so fast that we didn't have time to lament our fate. We were just deep into it. And so this is just a brief thing that tells you, here's how you build these solutions, and it's ancient. We've known about it since the 1970s. The German passive house is the model we use. We've been to passive house conferences. They use 90% less energy than conventional houses. I want to just show a few charts. This is the first project, maybe the first deep energy retrofit in America. That's a 1,000 square foot carriage house. This shows what we did to the envelope. We took the slab and we laid insulation on it, then framed it. We took the buildings, or the walls, which are 3.5, and extended them to be about 1 foot wide. We took the roof seating, which was 4.5, made that into 12 inches, and filled it with all kinds of very interesting and exciting insulation. So that's one of our projects. This is a chart that comes out in the book that breaks out the actual energy consumption, because after the retrofit, how are you going to make your own personal reductions? And you need a guideline. And that's part of what the book is to tell you where all the energy consumption is used on a national level for this 67% of the energy, and then let you see how that applies to your personal life and then what you can actually do to reduce it. I just wanted to point out here that we could retrofit all these for about $8 trillion, which is about 10 years of the U.S. real military budget. So for the next 10 years, we can continue to try to control the oil resources and control the world, or we can retrofit our homes, and then we don't need to do that anymore. And that's a very, very straightforward choice. This is our Agraria project, the second one I want to talk about. We bought 5 acres on the edge of Yellow Springs. We're going to request that the town annex that, and we'll be building 20 to 30 sort of condominium passive house designs, no more than 1,000 square feet, and we won't have any heating or air conditioning. 80% of the ground will be devoted to gardens. Second target is the private car. I'm running a little bit out of time. These are just some statistics. You know a lot about it. Someone showed the Hirsch Report yesterday, in which he gave a talk some years ago of how long it's going to take to change out the fleet, and in a sense proving it's not possible. We have, again, a value system that says we don't want to ride with other people, we don't want to share, and Julian Darley talked yesterday about sharing is going to be one of the ways we get through this system. And mass transit in the conventional way is not going to be that effective. If you really look at what the low number is band pooling. This is on a BTU usage, and that means we just get more and more people in a car. We fill up some of the waste seats. I want to just say a few words about, and there's not much time, I think the pluggable hybrid is just another con game. The fuel cell didn't work, And basically what it is, it's a conversion from oil to coal. Now admittedly, electricity is a little more efficient. Thank you. But it doesn't do any good, and I think this chart shows if you have a fleet growth on the left, and you see that's going up fast, and the fuel cost is not going up so fast because we're going to have more efficient cars. So soon we'll have 4 billion 100 mile per gallon cars instead of 750 million 40 mile per gallon cars, and that's really absurd. So how about a Jitney? And a Jitney basically is a small bus or unlicensed taxi cab, and basically it's an SUV where you have 7 passengers in it, and that's all a Jitney is. It's sharing a car. I have a smart Jitney proposal that I don't want to go into. It's covered in detail in the book. Is how do you use the new GPS technology? It's a software problem, not a hardware problem, to where you can schedule rides for people. And basically, you say, I want to go from here to there. You dial in the system. It comes back and says, there'll be a blue Chevy coming by in 8 minutes, and it'll pick you up and drop you off. This is not high tech. This is a culture change to share rides. And I want to say one thing is about this. I've been talking about this, and Megan was in Europe giving a talk, and a guy said, well, I think I have a friend who's doing something like this. And to make a long story short, last week we had a person, and I can't say this because we've signed a non-disclosure, that actually came back, and the Smart Jitney system is alive and well and is under development. He did say I could put his name and company in the book, but I couldn't announce it publicly. So maybe Ingrid will read it to you. But this was very exciting because we're in a situation of people are doing this. The people that want to curtail and cut back are deep into it. They're not waiting and having other conversations about what to do. They're just taking actions. Food, very simple. First thing you do is give up meat, and that will cut your consumption of energy by 50%. So the crisis is near. We know about the IEA report and the Arctic melt and so forth. There isn't any time for breakthrough technologies for pluggable hybrid or this other crazy trick of we're going to bury the CO2 in the ground and leave it for our grandchildren to deal with. So we have to change our habits and our ways of life and simply become different people. Our plan is focused on curtailment. No techno fix is going to maintain this lifestyle. And looking at our record, that shouldn't be upsetting. We're addressing of how do we change our own personal energy consumption. Ours is a positive view. It's an exciting challenge. The world sacrificed community a century ago for consumerism. That was a big mistake. And now we've got a big task to put the world back together in a way that's truly sustainable and where people are happy. There's a famous parable called the eye of the needle. It says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. And in a sense, that's what we've done. We've become rich people, and we're not going to get into heaven that way. We're going to have to rebuild the world and rebuild our society, and at least in Community Solutions, we plan to have a lot of fun doing it. Thank you. Questions?